That was before I got the Will Hay text.
Come on, here we go. All right, dreams.
Welcome back to the Group Chat Podcast. We are here with the sisters, Racquel, LaMonique, and Sheryll, but we also have some very special guests today.
Hey.
We have our sister, Racquel, is here.
Hey, girl, hey.
Podcast.
And we're also, she is one of our biggest supporters, and actually her and her husband watch us frequently.
We are and is.
And we don't
Once this post, we'll be watching.
Like and subscribe.
Yes,
all
please.
the things. Do the things. Yeah.
You can be listening just auditorily, but you can also go on our YouTube and watch all of the facial expressions and things that go with our
because we
podcast.
have them. Me specifically.
You specifically.
Yes. I have them.
Facts.
But we also have joining us today our mommy.
Yay!
She has stopped on her world tour just for us.
Come on, world tour!
Because she
Yes!
famous.
Because she is famous.
Yes.
For having me.
Awesome sauce.
Yes. Everybody doing okay today? Everybody feeling good?
Yes.
We here,
It's
girl.
Saturday.
It's Saturday. It's Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good day.
That's what I'm fine.
Well, today on the podcast is kind of a a little fun topic, and it's about dreams, dream talk.
Dream talk.
And we're all women here. We all have our dreams and our desires and wonderful things from little girls up until present day. Are you about to cry?
No.
Oh, okay. So Jesus.
First of all, hold on.
Look, your face got tight. We didn't know what was gonna happen.
Girl dreams. What?
Yeah. So
I didn't have those.
Disgusting.
Alright. We getting there. We getting there. Growing to women, life happens, all things. So let's start with a opener, lighthearted activity.
Okay.
So who did you want to be when you grew up? As a little girl.
What or who or
Somebody
Who did you want to be?
Famous.
Or
Gorgeous. You want to be like?
what did you want to be? Let's do that. Let's do that one.
Okay.
Because I had my person who I want to be, but let me ask a real question.
Okay.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm doing it.
Really?
That's awesome.
Yay!
That's really dope.
I am an educator. When I grew as a child, I always wanted to be a teacher. I used to play with dolls and bears and sit them down and act as if I was teaching them. But when I went to college, I did not major in education first. I majored in communications. I have a degree in communication broadcasting. For some reason, I thought I wanted to be on TV and be a news reporter. Well, here I am on a podcast.
Yeah, we got there.
But I realized that was not my passion. My passion and my calling is to educate and be a mentor to young kids. So I am actually living that dream.
That's so down that That's awesome.
I love it.
And it's a calling because
Everybody
ain't able to.
just keep us in your prayers.
Amen.
I go back to work August 1st. I got one more week of free time.
Mommy.
I was going to say, your calling is to equip and empower the next generation.
Ooh,
Yes,
And that is what you're doing. But it's the language, it deserves bigger language. What you're actually doing.
thank you.
So I'm going to give you that. You are equipping and empowering the next generation. That's your assignment, your call.
Now I'm about to cry.
True.
Look, I thought she was going
I was like, wait,
I was like, at first I thought she was going to say that too. I was like, yeah, we do that.
Mature believers to demonstrate their kingdom.
I can do that too in the education system.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's what you're doing. you're giving them the
Oh,
tools.
wow.
Amen.
You need a tissue.
I love my babies.
Amen.
Okay, when you were a little girl.
I wanted to do all things music. I used to put on the record player.
Come on,
Record player. Used to put on the record
That's
player,
really cute.
and we had one of the big ones, long, looked like a little hutch, looked like a bench, for lack of a better term. Some of the benches that we see now, it's got storage in it. It would look like, y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Long like that, and we could put actually put the records inside there. So I used to put that on. It was in the dining room, and we had a picture above the piano. Piano was on the opposite side of the room. We had a picture over there. The picture on the wall over the piano was my choir. Not the picture. I mean, because that's where I was standing
Come on,
to
imagination.
direct the choir. Change.
Oh.
Yes. Change.
Oh, that's the song.
I'm about to say, ready for the singing.
Change me. And then in between time, I wanted to teach Tremaine Hawkins. So
I'm saying you definitely want to be trained.
I definitely wanted to be trained. So yeah, I am, and I'm doing it. I'm doing it, and the amazing thing about God is that I'm doing much more than I ever imagined.
Oh, wow.
He kicked me into, when I kind of got lost in him, he kind of kicked me into his mind, the exceeding abundant of all that you could ask or imagine. I definitely did not imagine some of the things that I'm doing today. That went beyond. For example, I thought, because I wanted to do all things music. So I thought that if I were to travel the world, it would certainly be for music. I had no idea that the time would come that I would travel, that the farthest distance I would travel for the first time would be to a country I never imagined going to, Romania, and that it would not be for singing. To the extent that when they heard me sing a little bit, they said, "Oh, you should sing more."
Why,
because
thank
they
you.
brought me there to
Amen.
speak.
Amen.
I thought, Daddy, what have you done with my life that I'm traveling across, to the other side of the world, and people have packed this place out to hear what I have to say. That was crazy to me. But that's the kind of stuff that God does. He exceeds. But my dream was to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to write it in a book, and I would have to remember all the lyrics to that song. I want to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. It was a song, but I want to. I write the songs that make the whole world sing. These were songs that that were in the atmosphere when I was growing up, and that's what I think that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write the songs of a generation, of generations, not just a generation, but generations. And I think He's given me the capacity to do that through Him.
Yeah. Sisters, well, bless the Lord. I in grade school, I thought I wanted to be a pediatrician.
My Lord.
And that lasted up to freshman year of college.
When you found out how much
all science classes.
Oh.
Changed major the next year. Did. And then changed.
Physiology.
Huh?
Physiology.
I didn't even get that far. I didn't even get to know anatomy and physiology or whatever. And now we just gonna go ahead and switch this on up. I don't know where I wrote this. I know I wrote it somewhere. Oh, on the website. Let's go. So I think that tied into the culture, what they tell you kind of thing as kids, or I don't know if it's necessarily they tell you, but you have the idea of being a doctor or a lawyer, being the basketball player and football player kind of thing.
Yeah.
That is where I think that really came from, of saying that. But I do vividly remember, and I don't know how, but I vividly remember being in elementary school in my craft class, art class, or whatever it was, and I remember creating stuff, just artsy stuff, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember one project that it was close to Mother's Day, I think, and we had they gave us these. It was like an apple juice bottle, but it was a glass. It was about this size, but very wide, and we had some tissue paper, and we made it and glued it onto the bottle, and it was a vase that we created in half hours, and I gave it to my mom, and I thought it was the best thing ever.
Yes.
And so that's where my creativity kind of kicked in. I just didn't dwell there due to other things. I don't know. I just thought pediatrician and doctor was what I was supposed to do. But amen for creativity. So I'm doing that stuff now. It's working. Sheryll?
As a little girl, didn't really have dreams until maybe 16, 17. And, 16, 17, I wanted to be a nurse and to help heal people.
You helping people though. I mean, you're helping all people. Counselor, evangelist.
You helping to heal people.
I thought
All
that
of us is a little
Isn't that
glossy
amazing
here.
though? Because you don't account for all of the ways that if the calling is to help heal people, and all the context you have, all that you have to associate with that is nursing, is the medical profession, then you might think you missed your call or that you failed in your dream, but in actuality, you still are walking out the dream, still walking out the call. It's just that it was not to be in the form the only form that you knew. Because is there anything in you at this time in the season that wants to be an actual nurse? Nursing was all that you could associate with wanting to heal people, but that's what was drawing you. Yeah, you're doing what you're supposed to do. Isn't that awesome? You better dream, dreamer.
Sharice?
What about you, Sharice?
The interesting part is, I think she went downstairs. The interesting part is I never had a set thing I wanted to be.
Well,
That's exactly what happened. Cause I talked about this before. Like my brother, it's always been music. Like he was banging on pots and pans at 2. Like we knew full on well he was going to make noise for the rest of his life. It's exactly what he's doing. But me, I was just like, well, yep, I'm gonna go over here and paint something. But like I was always just either creating something. I was always creating something now. That's the bottom line. But I never was just like, I'm gonna grow up and be a teacher or grow up and be a doctor. Like, it was never just one profession for me. And then I got to the stage of life and realized, oh, this is how your life is. Okay, got it. You don't just like one thing. You like a lot of things.
Because Bishop Younger said what?
Do all of it.
Do all of it.
So I never had one set thing that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I've just never been that person. But my dreams are quite vivid, and Lord speaks to me in dreams. So they can be very, very over the top, and sometimes that gets me in trouble because I see the end vision and not the journey to always get there. And so that's some of my problems sometimes because I'm just like,
That's the burden of the prophetic.
yeah. Because I see this big old wonderful, like, oh, that's incredible. We're gonna get there, and he's not shown us the yellow brick road to get to Oz. Like, it's just,
Please, Lord.
this is where we're gonna end up. But just understand that how you get there is not necessarily how you think. So that's my complex on most days. But yeah, never had one set thing. But once I got of age, I understood why I couldn't be tied to one particular thing. I had too much that I was passionate about inside. But what I want to ask, everybody, what I wanted to ask though is, with dreams, all of us are at very different stages of our lives. We have some married, some single, different things. How does life sometimes detour our dreams? And I'll start by answering this question, and it'll give everybody time to answer the things. I know for me, there was a period in my 20s. I'm leaving my 20s so I can say my 20s because it was a whole era outside. I'm creative basically.
Okay.
But in, like, after college was a bomb for me, there was a very lengthy period of my life I just stopped dreaming. Because failure had come. And so there was, in my mind, no need to dream anymore.
Wow.
Life is happening, so you might get. Life is happening, so there was no need for me to dream or think that good things could happen or wonderful things could still happen to me because life had happened. So for a while in my mind, it was like you only, and I said this in my interview, you can only work. Your life will only be this way now. Like, this is, all the other options are out the door. Because you didn't excel in this area of your life. Not, just completely closed off any other possibility at that stage. And I shut down from dreaming. I, still have physical dreams. But especially the really big ones, I was just like, well, that can't happen. Just like shrug it off and keep going because it didn't seem possible anymore. And so the once over the top dreamer, the ones that had the biggest visions and the biggest goals, now is just like, probably won't happen for me. So like I had to walk through all of those things. And I think one day it was about, I was watching a wedding show or something. I used to always watch wedding shows. I've always wedding stuff. I remember as a teenager, I had like a wedding album of all my colors and all of my dresses and all, like I just always had it. And once, like in one particular area, as an example, once my relationships were not lining up to the time of marriage that I thought I would be married, I stopped watching wedding shows. I stopped dreaming about weddings because clearly this may not be a part of my life, so I'm not gonna do this anymore. And I think what triggered dreams again, I had watched a wedding show just randomly, like I was just bored. I was just like, oh, that is nice. And I ended up watching another one. and another one. And by the time I knew it, I was in a whole marathon. And by the time I knew it, I was back on Pinterest. I was like, let me just add this back to my board.
Yeah.
And and it just opened up that portal for me again to say, these are still possibilities. These are still things. It may not have happened in the timeline or the way that you would prefer, but you're still breathing. Like, you know, these things are very big possibilities. And it opened up a whole nother wave and allowed me to dream again, believe again. And I think it's tied to faith too, because during that season of me not dreaming, my faith also was completely challenged. Because again, like, well, life is just always going to be this way. So I stopped believing God for the impossible because, you know, life. So once I started dreaming again, my faith increased. And I started believing God for anything again and start dreaming big again. So now I'm at a place where I just think anything is possible. And that used to be my testimony all the time, but it stopped. So I'm excited for that phase of life now. But I've talked enough for y'all to answer what happens when life happens and your dreams are, or you feel like you're detoured from your dreams. Anybody can start.
I'm still walking through my journey. I don't know.
It's a little shaky. Wait.
Were you ever detoured? Were you able to go straight through? I'm trying to use Rachel.
Oh,
You were able to go straight through into the process?
no, there was a detour. I already had my bachelor's degree in communication, and I was kind of stable in Birmingham. I wasn't a certified teacher in the school system in Birmingham, but I was in the school system. The principal loved me. I was there every day. Like, just come to work. I know I'm gonna need you. So when I relocated in this area where I knew absolutely nobody, no connections, trying to find a job, realized that I wanted to go back to school. At this point, by the time I moved here in this area, I was finished with school, but I wasn't certified. So I know I needed a job to help with the bills and to help take care of my child. So I started working at Blue Cross Blue Shield. Yeah,
Jesus help
I
us.
ain't gonna put that out there.
Oh God.
I hated that job.
We got through it, Lord.
But anyway, I'm grateful I had a job.
Yeah.
Did not like the job because it wasn't my passion, first of all. It wasn't my desire. I just needed a job. And it was so bad that I was like, Lord, help me. Help me. Like, you told me to go back to school so that I could be an educator. And I applied for my teacher certification within the state of Alabama. This was in, I think, March. When I applied, I received a letter saying that beginning in February of that same year, I applied in March, or just a month prior to me applying, I had to go and take a some other test. So basically I wasn't grandfathered in or whatever. So all of these new credentials that they require you to receive, I had to go back and do it. And a long story short, Alabama gave me a hard time with trying to become a certified teacher. But one day at Blue Cross Blue Shield, it's like God sent me an angel. And she said for me to apply. She said, why don't you apply for your Georgia teacher certification? And actually, at this point, I was kind of like, I'm over it. I'm gonna find something else to do. My other dream job, if I was not a teacher, I think everybody, all you know, what would my job be? If I was not a teacher.
Oh, flight attendant.
Flight attendant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying she keeps talking.
Flight attendant. Look, cute flight
When
attendant.
they open up positions, I think they open up positions last year. She's like, I'm finna go with classes in time.
Yeah. So if I was not an educator, I think that would have been my dream job as well. So I was really down because I did not pass the test in Alabama the first time, the math portion. Y'all know that's not my subject. Everybody know that. So it was like I kind of lost my faith, but then again I'm like, but God, I still want to trust you. Like, show me something. So anyway, I kind of gave up on being a teacher until I feel like God sent an angel to me at Blue Cross Blue Shield, the job that I hated. And she said, why don't you apply for your certification in the state of Georgia? And she sent me the website, told me what to do, and I was like, okay. I applied, and within 3 weeks, I received an email with my Georgia teacher certification. And I was so excited, like it was the best news ever. But before I got there, I kind of lost hope in being an educator, a certified educator. I feel like I wasn't gonna get paid the money that I was worth or what teachers should get paid. I still wanted to do it because that's, again, was my passion, is my passion. And that was like a detour for me. Didn't know anybody, wouldn't get hired. So
how long was it from the time you moved to the time that you got that certification?
about 4 years.
Oh.
Yep.
That's
About 4 years. And I kind of, even my family was like, well, don't give up, keep trying, keep pushing. And I was like, but yeah, you ain't gotta pay money to keep taking these tests.
Yeah.
So I was almost like about to throw it out the window for real. And God sent that angel to me. And here I am. And disclosure, side note, I am Dean of Students.
Come on now!
Just want to give God the glory.
Yes.
Because it's just favor. Again, I'm walking in my calling. I'm obedient. I listen to Him. Even as an educator, since 2015, 2016, when I received my certification, there have been times where things have happened and I feel like, okay, this is not for me anymore. I don't want to teach. I was pink slipped in a particular school district. That was like heartbreaking for me because I love the school, I love the kids. I was a wonderful teacher, I felt as if I was a wonderful teacher, but they didn't rehire me. So that was a kind of slap in the face to me, not knowing that God had other plans for me to where I am right now. So all I can say is God knows what He's doing all the time. Even when we feel like, well, why did this happen to me? God, what are you doing? Like, I don't deserve this, or I shouldn't be here right now. You just gotta trust God, and which I did, and you have to listen to Him, because there were also times when I may not have liked where I was, and I'm trying to move. I'm applying everywhere. Like, I gotta get out of here. I don't like what's going on. I want to move. I want to do this. And all I kept hearing Him saying was, it's not time, be still. And I'm like, no, but I'm ready to go. Lord, I'm ready to go. I can't take it no more. And I had to be still. And that's why I am where I am now. So I just know I have to trust Him. And this is not the end. This is not the beginning. This is just my path. Because being that dean, this is not the end for me.
No, it's not.
At all. So
I'll say this, just talking about your journey, paths, and dreams and passions that you may have. I know when I did go to college the first time, my major was sociology, which is the study of people, demographics, dynamics, things like that. Because people were always, there was nothing else that I wanted to study. But people were always interested in why things were the way that they were. I've always been interested in that. So, like I said, of course, that wasn't the thing, and it's not the major that I'm going back into studying. But 6 years after me leaving a sociology program, I do Battle of the Sexes, which is still the study of people, how they interact, why they do what they do, and behavior of humans. So for me, it was confirmation that, you weren't crazy, because no, that is an actual passion of yours. It's just the route looked a little different of how things were going to kind of play out. So now we're, of course, getting ready, shameless plug, getting ready for number 6. And I still have people saying, yeah, the dialogue is helping me in my relationships, in my marriage. And I'm like, I'm very big single. But married people who are using these tools and these conversations to help have good communication skills. And so it was just a detour, I guess. It made sense later.
The yellow brick road is not what we always envisioned it to be.
It's not. But it is though, because on the yellow brick road they ran into detours. They ran into the poppy fields where they fell asleep because she put the spell on it. They fell asleep in there. They ran into the monkeys and the witches and got detour. They weren't able just to walk straight to the castle.
You better preach the Wiz.
Okay.
Like they ran into difficulty during that process, but they made it.
Yeah.
So
Y'all better encourage me with that.
We tried, sis.
That made
We encouraged.
So
Wait.
did you have something?
I was just thinking about the delay after delay. Delay after delay after delay. Wait.
With you, Mom.
Wait. Wait.
My God.
I was, and I almost brought tears to my eyes, and I might still cry before it's over. But I had a flash of myself walking down the streets I was in New York City someplace, walking down the street. Auntie Pumpkin and she went with me, and I did a photo shoot. The pictures that your dad loves.
In the black and white.
The black and white, his favorite picture. That photo shoot. After I was done, because I looked like a model walking down the street. I was 22. I was about 22. So that was my pre-mom body.
Right.
So I was pretty fine.
Snatched up.
I was a little snatched. You could find my waist and everything. But I remember walking down the street. I remember walking down the street, after that photo shoot. I was 22 years old. And that photo shoot was a part of my promo pack. It was a part of my promotional package, in which you have a folder with a headshot, cassette, a little snap, and you snap your cassette in with your demo and your bio. A native of Rochester, New York, Wendy Anderson Wyatt is, it wasn't as long a bio as it is now, but still, that process and this package, and a nice white folder, remember the white folder, with the nice print on stuff on the front, but this was stuff that went to record labels, and I was 22, and I'm 53. And the thought of 30 years is mind-blowing to me. The weight, not yet. wait,
Oof.
not yet.
So are you
And
getting
staying the course until, and still, and understanding that every time there was a not yet type moment, there was still value that came out of those moments, until the series of delays produced a wealth, produced a worth, that had I been released to the world 30 years ago, I would not have had. I would not have had. I would not have been as worth. I would not have been worth as much. And so, it's understanding that, coming to terms with the fact that there's value in every delay or every wait. There's something that is gained in every season, and also, I still continued. It was not. It was not that I was barren in those years. I was producing, and the Lord assured me again and again that what I was producing was still valuable. People are still being blessed today by the album that was released in 2000. That was recorded in '99. People are still being blessed by that. Know those lyrics, verbatim. People reach out to me today, still trying to find the album, the first one. People are excited about my new project, and still will go on social media and say, we excited, but I listen to Come Stand in the Rain every day. Something from an album from '07. I've had to, constantly, the Lord reminded me again and again that success, and this is how He taught me about success, is that success is not, cannot be measured in comparison to what others deem, what it looks like. You can't base your success or measure it against what it looks like on other people. There's not one set form of success, but when it comes to the things of God and our assignment, success is actually about how well, how fully aligned you are with your purpose and plan, with God's purpose and plan for your life. How closely, are you following what He has ordained for you to do? And I was doing that. I was doing that, and I was producing as a result. And the lives that were being touched were being impacted, eternally impacted for His glory. And so I had to know that that was success, that I was experiencing success on the way to success. And so here we are. And at this point, on the day that we're recording this podcast, this album is being considered for a Dove Award. And that's the first thing for this album. That's where it's starting. That's where this journey is starting, and I think that's significant.
Absolutely.
It's not starting, it's not starting. No shade to Estella. I want all the Stellas. I want Grammys. It's just significant that the first nod, just as the timeline, goes, the first thing. The first thing to encounter is the Dove Awards, and that's on the ballot, and so that's amazing. But that's after 30 years, and I know that everybody doesn't have 30 years for the making process. But, you know, again, no, everybody doesn't have that kind of time, but God makes sense of it. The journey doesn't always look like it often does not. It often does not look like what we planned, what we expected. But I promise God is the master of making all things work together for our good. If we love Him and if we're called according to His purpose, He makes it work for our good. And so I'm watching it. I'm watching Him do what He does, making it work. It's working together.
I would like to add to that too, the timing. Racquel and I was talking earlier this week about how if it had happened when you were 22 or whatever, prior to her birth, you wouldn't have been able to be there for your kids like you were, possibly. So, again, God's timing is perfect.
And that would have devastated me. I would have mourned that. I would have mourned that forever in the midst of celebrating whatever level of success. I would have mourned. I would have had to deal with that, and dealt with regret, perhaps because of perhaps the state of my children. You know, when it was all said and done, what they would have been. You know, if they did not have the sense of stability. You know, what their lives would have been like if they didn't have a sense of stability. And He just, you know, God is just, he worked it. You know, there were, you know, things I turned down for my family and for ministry sake, and I mean the local ministry. Our church was young. BCWC was young, and there was an artist that wanted me to travel with him, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't be away from home at that time. I couldn't do that at that time. But you know, his people that are traveling with him are seeking me out as a vocal coach today. Mighty God. And that's no shade to him.
No, right.
We're just talking about what God did in the process. You know how I hadn't thought about that in that way, but you know, that's amazing. But you know, in the process, as Racquel heard me say earlier this week, you know, as it turned out, at this almost 30 years old, Rock's recollection of childhood and growing up years is that I didn't miss anything. That I was there for everything, and I just, you know, and I've had times, you know, in recent months where I was like, I just wish I'd done things better or done things. Still, it made me cry. But I'm just, you know, I thought, wow. I guess I still pulled off quite a bit, you know, because at this stage, what my kids remember is that I was there for everything, you know. So the Lord knows, because that's everything to me. The state of although they're adults, but the state of my children, the state of my family is everything to me. So. So, you know, as it turns out, I get to have a healthy family as I prepare to celebrate new successes, as opposed to sacrificing a family for success and coming out with, you know, some success and a broken family.
Having to call everybody all come home to celebrate mother, and we ain't talking 5 years.
Right.
could be a whole different conversation.
So, I'm grateful, like, at this juncture, as I prepare, as I walk into this season, my biggest cheerleaders are my children and my husband, first. And, so that comes with work, and sacrifice. So I'm grateful.
Did you have something you want to add, Sheryll?
No, I'm just
Keep dreaming, people.
So we don't have a whole lot of time, so I want to take the rest of the time to do this. What is your dream today? Like, what does your dream look like today? If you don't have to share all of it, of course, and there are some things to keep for yourself, but what's a part of your dream today? What's keeping you alive today?
I still look forward to being a dancer because that's what I wanted to be when
I am tired.
That's what I wanted to be when I was a girl. I wanted to be a dancer,
Tired.
and so it's been like 40 years of a detour, not 30. It's like 40 years of a delay.
Where's Guy?
Right.
Face expectation out.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. What's the dream
Sheryll.
like?
Cherie, me, y'all, I don't know, honestly,
Are you struggling to dream?
yes,
And that's has life in
yes, life has lifed me, and I'm exhausted, and I'm trying to be in a place of waiting well. I already know that's not one of my strongest suits here, and it's a little tiring, and I feel something in my throat, so I'm just gonna stop talking here.
I feel like you need to talk through this.
I don't know what else to say because I'm tired. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Go ahead, do it.
Tired.
I am trying to wait well. I don't know.
I like that term. Wait.
I don't know. I don't know if I am. I'm pretty sure that I'm not actually.
Well, I mean, I think it's about the scripture that comes to mind is occupy. It's very short. Occupy till I come. Jesus is saying to us, occupy. Live, dwell, and fill up this space. Work and fill up this space until I come back. Well, in the short term, before eternity, it's the same kind of. We can take that same admonishment to occupy until the manifestation, until He comes with the manifestation of whatever it was we were believing Him for. And I think it's a matter of asking Him, okay, I'm still waiting, Daddy. How do I occupy this space? How do I? What do I do until You come? How do I serve? How do I serve You? While I'm waiting for the bigger dream, the bigger things. That things that'll give me joy in the wait.
I'm gonna stop it. We're gonna do a part 2.